Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Amitha. Join us weekly as we talk to guests who will inspire us towards positivity, beauty, brains, and talent, an awe inspiring combination. Rare, you say? Well, then we have found a gem. Our guest today is an amazing role model, a student excelling in academics. She could be a showstopper on the model runway, a co-founder of Vithusayni Empire, and much more. She just made a debut as playback singer with the music maestro A.R. Rahman. Without further delay, let's welcome to our show Miss Vithusayni Paramanathan. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Amitha. Thanks for having me.
Since I have the inside scoop, I'm going to call you Vidhu. That's what people lovingly call her.
For sure.
So let us enlighten our viewers about you a little bit more, about your growing up and education.
So since the beginning, for music, I started when I was around 8 or 9 years old. I actually started in classical training, so Carnatic music, with my teacher Kulanayagi, and I did Carnatic violin as well with my teacher Jayadevan. And so I started with that, and I slowly worked my way into cinema songs. I did a couple of TV competitions as a kid. And after that, I started vocal training with my vocal trainer, Mr. Aro Robin. And I actually studied at A.R. Rahman School itself, KM Music Conservatory. I've done 2 semesters there, one for Western vocals and one for Hindustani vocals. So that's how it is in my training segment for music. But aside from that, I'm actually a university student. So I'm studying criminology at Western University in London, Ontario. So something completely different from music. But yeah, that's like my professional side.
Amazing. Yeah, like 2 different worlds, really. Or maybe you could bring it together. You may be the first one. So along the way, as you are, I am from South Asian families. We tend to be sometimes conservative and only focus on things where there is gainful employment.
Yeah.
So how has been the support from your family?
So actually, I would say my parents and my sister are actually more involved with my music career than I am.
Oh, that's sweet.
So in our generation, where parents are always like, studies are the most important, I'm very, very blessed to have a family that's so supportive of my music career, and they're always encouraging me. They're always pushing me to do better. And especially, like, as you mentioned with my debut, I would say that my mom and my sister are probably the biggest reasons for why I even got that chance. So for sure, they've been a huge pillar of support in my musical journey, and I'm very, very blessed to have them.
That's so great to hear. It always, helps when you have the support of your loved ones. Sure. But you have the passion within, and you have the talent that you're exploring further. And what has your musical journey been thus far? So we heard about your training and, from such a prestigious institute. But I know you have had many successful solo performances as well as collaboration with artists. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more?
For sure. So growing up, I did a lot of stage shows here in Toronto, whether that be like cultural programs or like summer fairs. I worked with various different bands, like Tamil bands in the community. And with them, I was able to do duets with many artists from India. So people like Mano, Unni Krishnan, Srinivas, Vijay Prakash, Harry Charan. So they're like legends back in India that came here for shows. And I was very blessed to be able to collaborate with them on stage. And I've also sung with music director Diaman here in Toronto, and sang in front of like Anirudh and Devasur. So I've gotten the chance to really work with a lot of artists, and it's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm hoping for more in the future.
Wow, that's quite a portfolio. And these are just, famous artists. Do you plan to have any originals come out?
Yeah, so I've actually had 2 originals that I've worked on so far. One I released last year called Orumure. I worked on it with a music director called Praveen Mani. So he's also working very closely with A.R. Rahman. So all the recordings that happen in North America, he takes care of for Mr. Rahman sir. And the lyrics were written by someone named Vivek Ravi, who's from Vancouver. And then this year, I also released my second original, which is called Anuvai. I also worked on that with Praveen Mani. And the lyrics were actually written by Mr. Pa Vijay from India. So he's a very famous lyricist in the Tamil music industry in India. So those were like my two originals, but I've also done a lot of covers and a lot of collaborations with Toronto artists here. So a lot of my covers have been produced by Steve Cliff Valentine. I'm sure most of you have heard of him. So
he's well known in the community.
Yeah, so he's worked with a lot of local artists here in Toronto. So I started off doing a lot of covers with him, and then I worked my way into original songs.
Amazing. For you personally, what do you like? Doing covers, like your versions of covers, or doing the originals?
So I think covers are a great way to start, especially for like new artists. It's a great way to show your talent, get a following going, and just like give a twist on music that's your own style. But originals are like where you really get to express yourself and show like the music that's you. So I love doing originals because I feel like there are no boundaries, no really like guide that I have to follow. I can just be myself. I can really show what my vocal range is, my tone, and just how I sing. So I love doing originals a lot more.
That is great. And we look forward to then more originals from you because yours face is just lighting up when you say originals, right?
Thank you so
much. Now, you say new artists, but with all the experience that you have had, you almost sound like you're already well established, but that's because of all your hard work and perseverance. What have been some of the challenges along the way?
So I feel like here in Toronto, there's an abundance of artists, especially in my Tamil community. And I think making a mark for myself was very difficult in the beginning just because I was so saturated with so many other artists, especially like female singers. There was just so many of them and I wanted to kind of stand out and make a name for myself. So I think that's where I initially started doing covers and like on Instagram and stuff, I started putting out videos and I wanted people to know like Vidhu and not just another like Tamil singer who sings in the community. So I started putting myself out there and I think that was like the biggest challenge because I was a very shy and timid girl at the start. So to put myself out there and like even on stage, like as a stage performance, like not just singing, but actually having a stage presence on stage was very difficult for me because I had to kind of break out of my shell. Like I don't dance, but on stage, like, you know, like I do a couple of moves like to get the audience involved. So I think that was like the biggest struggle for me because I think for most people, it's like the parent support, but I already had that. So for me, it was like getting out there and like making a name for myself.
Girl, you have made a mark and you have made a name for yourself. And that's why now you have debuted as a playback singer.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out more about that. Okay. But before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to Ms. Vithusayni Paramanathan. So Vidhu, this is great. We heard of all the training you've had, the support you've had from your family, but most importantly, all the passion and the hard work that comes from within. And now you have debuted as a playback singer. Tell us, first of all, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I've actually performed in front of Aero Munster a couple of years ago when he came to Toronto. So he kind of already was familiar with who I was and how I sing. But I actually emailed him my original song a couple of months before I had gone to India. And I just said like, hey, this is my song. Like, if you could check it out, that'd be great. And he actually replied back saying, you know, like he really likes it and that like to keep going and to keep creating more. So when I had the plan to go to India, so I was actually went back to go study at his school. I enrolled in his school and then I just shot him an email with my mom saying like, hey, I'm coming to India. It would be great if I could like meet with you and just have a little chat. And he actually replied back saying, you know, come in, like I'd like to meet you. So that was like a huge opportunity. I didn't think he would actually reply back because he probably has like thousands of emails asking him like to come meet him.
Did he know you were a student at his conservatory?
So he knew that because I actually studied at his school before. Okay. So this was my second time. So he kind of knew.
Okay.
But like he didn't know I was coming back for the second time. So once I landed in India, actually the next day, he gave me an appointment to come see him. Wow. So I went and talked to him and we were just chatting. He's actually like the sweetest, most humble person ever. He's actually a man of very few words, but what he says is always like incredible. So he just, gave me some advice. He was telling me that, because I'm 21 now. So he was saying like, this is like my prime time. This is my time to shine, get myself out there, enter the industry. And he was just giving me advice like on my musical journey. And so actually when I went to India, I had no plan to study Hindustani music because I'm trained in Carnatic and Western. So Hindustani was never in my plan. But he was the one who actually suggested to study Hindustani. And he said, like that's kind of like the best way to prepare yourself, especially for the playback industry. So that's why I started studying Hindustani music. But yeah, he just gave some advice and, he was just telling me how like, the scope of the world is like what you create inside your mind. So, whatever you want, go for it, try your hardest and you'll achieve it. So kind of listened to him and I just kind of kept going with my training. And then one day I got a call at about like midnight and it was his sound engineer who actually said like, hey, can you come into the studio right now? And I was very like surprised and I was like, is this the right number? Like they're telling me to come at midnight, like what's going on?
Yeah.
But we went in and there was me and the other girl who sang the song with me. And they were like, hey, listen to this song and learn it because you're gonna record it. So it was a very like surreal experience. And so we listened to the song a couple of times and the lyricist who wrote the song also came in. His name is Vivek. So he wrote the song for the entire album. And, he taught us the words, like told us like where he wants like us to enunciate more and stuff like that. So it was about like 4 a.m. by this time. And they were like, hey, Rahman sir is waiting for you downstairs. So like head on down. And we went downstairs and like he was on his piano and he was like, I'm going to play along so you guys sing too and then we'll work on the song together. So he played and we sang and we worked on the song and like figured out like how we wanted it to be done. And then he's like, it's about like 6 a.m. now, so let's go home, get some rest, and then we'll freshly record tomorrow. So that's kind of how it happened.
Wow. So everything, the call that kind of scared you actually turned into the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's great. And now it's out and it's getting rave reviews. How are you feeling about that?
So it's a huge movie. It's Thalapathy Vijay, so one of like the biggest actors in the Tamil industry.
Yes.
And paired with him is Nayendra, who's also a huge actor. And the director is Atli, who's done he's done a couple of movies in the past and all of them have been like blockbusters. And so it's a huge movie. So I'm grateful to even be a part of like this whole team and obviously Rahman sir. So the jukebox of it came out on YouTube and a lot of comments actually say that like this is their favorite song. It's a very emotional song. It's about like women empowerment and just like how women are always like in the shadow of men and like how we have to like come out of that. So it's a very, very emotional song and it's a very important song in the movie, which people will see when they watch the movie. The movie's going to come out for Diwali. So I'm very excited for all of you guys to see the movie and to see like how important it is in the movie and how important of a message that the song has to send.
Amazing. And this is just the start for you, Vidhu. Yeah. What's next in terms of musical projects?
So I've actually worked on a couple of more projects while I was in India with a couple of different music directors. So I'm very excited to reveal that to people soon. I can't really talk about it yet.
That's okay. At least we got the hint here on the show.
So I'm very excited for those to come out. And to be honest, I'm very excited to work as an independent artist. I've already released 2 originals, so I'm hoping to release a lot more originals and grow my YouTube channel. I work under the name Vidhu on YouTube, so if you guys search up VITHU, you'll find my YouTube channel. And I'm very excited to like work on my own songs and actually collaborate with a lot of other artists on that too.
That's great. And we are looking forward to it. Like we said, you light up when you say original. Of course, we are also looking forward to all the other stuff that we heard about today, but you'll reveal later.
Yeah.
What's your vision going like, say, 10 years from now as an artist?
Like I said, I'm actually studying criminology. So I hope to establish a career in that field as well. But I don't want to let go of music. I still want to be I'm still very passionate about that. And I want that to continue on in my life as well. So hopefully, like a lot more songs in the playback industry. And as like I said, a lot more originals. I hope to like grow my following and really like travel around the world doing concerts. I've traveled to a couple of countries so far, but I'd really love to like travel around the world and perform and meet everyone around the world.
That's great. It's just like your debut song conveys the message, coming out of the shadows of men and making a mark for yourself as a woman. And it sounds like you're just going to be an all-rounder. And this is going to be a very interesting combination of criminology and music. I really want to see where you can take that combination.
Thank you.
And beyond that, you're also an entrepreneur. You're the co-founder of Vithusayni Empire.
Yeah.
So we want to find out more about that. But before that, let's take a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to beauty, brains, and talent, Miss Vithusayni Paramanathan. So Vidut, we heard about your wonderful musical journey thus far and your vision as an artist, and also the fact that you are going to pursue a career in criminology. Now, beyond that, as we said, you're also an entrepreneur. Tell us about Vithusayni Empire.
So Vithusayni Empire started back in 2015. So in our culture and Carnatic music, there's something called an Arangetram, which is kind of like a recital for someone who's completed many years in music. And it's just to showcase the fact that, you know, you've come this far. It's kind of like a graduation in a sense. So my parents really wanted to do that for me in Carnatic music because at the time I was in grade 12 and, you know, I was going off to university. So they really wanted me to finish that before I headed off. But I just had this idea of really like bringing together like my friends and doing a show with all my musical family here in Toronto. So, you know, I went to my parents and I said, hey, there's so many shows that happen here with like Indian artists and artists from different countries, but our talents here in Toronto don't really get a spotlight much. So I said, like, can I do a show with my friends instead of this? You know, instead of putting money into that, let's put money into this. And my parents were actually very, very supportive, especially my sister. So with my sister, we co-founded Vithusayni Empire Inc. And we did our first show called Toronto Tamil Artist Night in 2016 with playback singer Srinivas sir as a special guest. And it was just a show where we had hundreds of talents, singers, musicians, dancers, even our MCs. They were all like local Tamil artists. And
Nice.
we were able to showcase all of them on one stage and give them all like a platform to really showcase their talents. And that's kind of how we started. So our I guess like you could say our goal is to unite like our local artists with like Indian and international artists and create just quality musical content for everyone. So actually last year in 2018, we called music director Diamond and we did Diamond Live in Toronto 2018. And in that as well, we had about like 20 people come with him from India. We had playback singers like Hari Charan, Jitin, Anthony Das. Wow. We had Shasha Tirupati, Vaikom Vijayalakshmi, Sunita Saradi, and much more. And all his musicians, his band, his sound engineers, they all came down with him. And we actually held it at the Powerade Center in Brampton. So it was a huge concert and we were very, very happy with the results of it. And we also included our Toronto artists in that as well. So they got to perform on that exact same stage and it was a huge platform for them as well. So that's kind of like where we're going and hopefully more to come.
That's great. I just love the fact that you're actually giving back to the community. You know, sometimes there's so much talent that gets lost in the pool and disheartened because there's nobody to notice them. And when you have reached a certain position with your singing, you're actually helping the rest of the community. That's so nice of you. And so Vithusayni Empire is really giving a great platform for this. That's great. Vidhu, it's been like such a pleasure talking to you
Thank
today
you.
because you're so much filled with passion, positivity, and you know, you're so inspirational.
Thank
I would
you
say,
so much.
like I said, an all-rounder. There are many of our viewers, you know, who, as we mentioned, might be struggling with wanting to follow their passions because challenges arise along the way. Do you have any words of advice for them?
Yeah, for sure. So I think especially in this generation, you know, we're living in like a generation filled with technology. And I think like that's the best way to put your talent forward. Honestly, social media is huge. Like make use of like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you know, put yourself out there, really show other people what you have. And I'm sure like it'll come back to you. Like for me, just a simple thing like an email to A.R. Rahman got me my debut in playback singing. And not just that, like when I was in India, I got to perform at his concert. So A.R. Rahman live in Chennai. I got to perform like 2 songs with like leading artists like ADK, Raja Kumari, Ranjit Barrett, Shiv. So I really got to like experience like so much just through like such simple things. So I really think, you know, putting yourself out there and like giving your 100%, like be passionate, be humble, and I'm sure you can achieve whatever you put your mind to.
That's such great advice. As you mentioned, you were a shy girl, but look at you have blossomed into such a wonderful human being,
Thank you.
an artist, and so much more. So, viewers, we have a surprise for you because she's going to sing for us a few lines from your debut song. But before that, let me once again thank you for coming down. I know you have such a busy schedule, so much on your plate. I understand you have to go get back to school right now. So thank you once again very much, Vidhu. We wish you all the best with all the work that is upcoming.
Thank you so much for having me, Amitha, and thank you to the channel as well for giving me this wonderful platform.
Well, there you have it, Miss Vithusayni Paramanathan, aka Vidhu, who has inspired us to tap into our full potential. That's a wrap for this week's show. This is our 150th episode. Thank you for watching us and supporting us. Continue to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and write to us at spotlight@ethnicchannels.com. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off, leaving you with the melodious voice of Vidhu.
ஓரத்திலே பூப்பதிலே பெண்ணே நீ கண்ணியமாய் பார்ப்பதிலே துளிர்க்கும் ஆண்மையது மீசை முடி ஓரத்திலே பூப்பதிலே பெண்ணே நீ கண்ணியமாய் பார்ப்பதிலே துளிர்க்கும் மாதரே 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 மாதரே